In this video, we will be talking about how to find lasting happiness and love and the role our consciousness plays in it. We all long for lasting happiness and love, but where do we begin? How do we approach this search? At first, when we don't find this lasting happiness, we usually start blaming outer circumstances. Gradually, we may begin to realize that we stand in our own way of approaching this state of happiness, peace, and love. When we begin taking a deeper look at our own being, we understand that our state of consciousness affects our inner happiness and love. It is as if there are different vibrations of consciousness. When in a state of anger, resentfulness, jealousy, or criticism, we experience it as a lower vibration, while being joyful, safe, generous, or at peace feels like a much higher vibration. But none of these are lasting. It is hard to remain permanently in a state of happiness and love. But there is yet another unfathomably high vibration within us, unaffected by our ever-changing feelings and emotions. Even though it is quiet, it has a powerful presence within us. Although we cannot sense this special vibration in a state of anger, jealousy, or criticism, when we are truly happy and at peace, we might feel some of its presence.
We are all familiar to some extent with the concept of elevating the vibration of one's consciousness, reaching one's higher self, or better yet, transcending one's consciousness. All these attempts are basically geared, for the most, towards finding everlasting happiness, love, and the peace of mind that comes with it. There are numerous exercises, meditations, and the like that are basically aimed at achieving these goals. But the uncovering of the essential, the unfathomable divine within us remains unattainable through these techniques. What we often miss is that what we are seeking, to quote Rumi, has been seeking us for ages. It is right here within ourselves, closer than hands and feet. And I would even add, it is gently beckoning us. So why then is it so difficult to attain? Well, we're exposed to a variety of influences in our lives, which are like, to quote one of my friends, they're like radio stations that we tune into according to our state of mind of the moment. These distractions crowd our senses and endeavor to drown that subtle yet persistent unique voice within our hearts. They get their power from what we are willing to give them. We're giving them our thoughts, our time, attention, opinion, discussions, and debates. So we effectively nurture and strengthen them over time, giving them prominent real estate in our minds. It is our task as human beings to dethrone them. Madame Blavatsky said it so aptly. The mind is the slayer of the real. Let the disciple slay the slayer. When we recognize the workings of our egocentric personalities, it is up to each one of us to endeavor to free our minds from these entanglements and the self-made impediments we subject ourselves to. Now, recognizing that we created these stumbling blocks is the beginning of a subtle reversal. In today's era of Aquarius, we are increasingly in tune with our innermost selves. Our egos and their ever-changing tendency are laid bare before our eyes. And as a result, our attention is therefore heightened. Traditional answers to our questions about life, love, happiness, and their meanings are no longer adequate, no longer acceptable. We deeply yearn for a true understanding of these ideals, but we continually find ourselves in the commonplaces where our bounded minds dwell, in the transitory, temporary, and unfulfilling stages in our lives and quests. However, a deep longing and a profound inner recognition persist and continue to drive us forward in our search.
We develop in us the certainty that there must be something else, something beyond the reality of our rational mind. Even though we don't know this other love and happiness, we do know that it exists. That realization points us beyond the consciousness of our I to something that is new to our egocentric comprehension. We gradually begin to recognize this other element within. We become able to tune our radio station away from the station of the I into the station of an eternal inner voice that is calling us. When we can quiet our steady inner chatter and turmoil, we can perceive it. But as soon as we get entangled in criticism, judgment, or anger, we stop hearing the voice of the eternal element. After we become conscious how our self identifies with the reality of the I, we then begin to understand that the self can also shift its focus away from the I and begin to identify with the true omnipresent essence within. We might be tempted to measure the progress of our inner path, but as soon as we try to quantify it or understand it with our rational mind, it eludes us. The self that identifies with the I consciousness can only perceive the world of ever-changing opposites. When the self, however, can identify with the true divine essence, it becomes an all-encompassing spiritual consciousness that will manifest in a world of highest vibration, the supranature. But the I cannot understand the new consciousness. It can't measure it, and it can't possess it. When I am striving to raise my consciousness, its vibration might become somewhat higher and more cultivated, but it remains an I consciousness. So in a way, we could say the I cannot reach an omnipresent consciousness by reaching for it. The crucial point is to understand that the task of the I is to become an instrument for the omnipresent element within our heart and begin to serve it. Only then, with my help, a spiritual consciousness can grow from the divine element within me. This spiritual consciousness is like a bridge between me as a person living in this world and the unfathomable universal light, the supranature of all-encompassing love.
The process begins in the here and now, right where each one of us stands in life. We all carry an element of the supranature within us. It is closer to us than our hands and feet, as mentioned earlier. It's calling us, intensely, yet patiently giving us the space and time to eventually begin to listen and make room for it in our lives. In the Golden Rosy Cross community, we try to go this inner path of return or reawakening, reconnecting to the eternal element in our heart so that guided by this inner light, our consciousness can unite again with the universal, the supernature. We invite you to explore this inner path with us. Our website, our YouTube channel, online talks, and podcasts may be an inspiration and a point of departure for your journey.